Fathers, it is important for us to obey all the commandments given to us.
We now
move on to the book of Isaiah.
We're going to the book
of Isaiah because today is a very happy day. We have heard the song speaking about the birth. And what type of birth are we, whose birth are we referring to today? And the birth of our Lord, Father Yangenda. And in order for we need to go back. If we go back to the history of the book of Isaiah, Isaiah was a prophet that had prophesied the birth of Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ was the child of God. And he was born through Mother Mary and Father Joseph. But today Father Yangenda was born.
Le 20 mars 1918.
He was born on the 22nd of March 1918. It was a very exciting time to see his birth.
Because
he was the third son of Father Samuel Kimbangu and Mother Mwilu. It is a very exciting birth because it is the second coming of Jesus Christ. The characteristics described by Jesus, described in the Bible by the book of Isaiah, which says, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulder, and his name will be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace," which was used to describe Jesus Christ in his first coming. And before Father Yangenda was born, he was a prophecy. Father Samuel Kimbangu had prophesied in 1910. And then he had told his father that he would give birth to a son in 1918. And it is exactly what had happened. And exactly how Father Yangenda was born. And during the time that Father Yangenda was born, we were in the First World War. And so in the First World War, that's when, by his birth, it was the end of the First World War. And looking at the thing that happened after the birth of Father Yangenda, there were many major events. He had received the responsibility of leading the church. And when Mother Mwilu had decided that her time to do the work has been done, she decided to pass on the responsibility to her son. And she had done an excellent job to see, and we can still see the results of her work up until today. And he had worked and he had traveled in all four corners of the world spreading the gospel. And he had made sure to plant the church in every single country that he had traveled to. But today we're just summarizing because of time. And you'll see that on social media, all types of stories and all the histories about him and his travels are being shared online. And the miracles that he had done is still being spoken about today. And you'll see that from the time that he had lived, that's physically in 1992, up until today, there are still people that see sightings of him, sometimes in a military uniform. meaning that we are on a true path.
Nous sommes dans un solo.
That means we are worshipping a true God.
Voilà, il y a des soucis à l'étoile de Ngomba.
Father Dangenda was worried about the development of the church.
And
he was preaching, his preaching focused on the youth especially. Because he knew that the youth is the hope of the church. Because if there is no youth, that means the church is reaching a dead end. Meaning that the youth is the anchor of the church. Meaning that as the elders are going, the youth is going to continue the work. And you'll see that because of that, Father Dangenda had placed some of the youth with titles within the church. Which is why mothers and fathers need to be obedient. With all the preaching that was given to us from Father Kiswelukele, Father Dangana, and Father Dangenda, we need to abide by it. Our children have not seen it. They only hear the stories. But since we have that opportunity and the material that we have received from them, let us share it on to the future generations. And the evidence for the younger generations to see the work of the three fathers is through Father Samuel Kimangu. And he is continuing the mission of the three fathers. And let us see how the church has developed. And go to Nkamba to see for yourself. And maybe you won't even be able to see how we live here. You see that all the new constructions have been done there. And there's beautiful things that are entering the land each and every day. And with the stress of us believers. And he's busy preparing something for us so that we can have jobs there. Mothers and fathers, that is why we need to see what the Lord is doing for us. And when they tell us about the building of the church, let us open our hands. To build the church and to build the New Jerusalem is how shall we receive our blessings. And He will prepare for us a beautiful way. Let us all be behind Father Samuel Kimangu. And because He said that He's following the footsteps of the three fathers. Because if you're not on the path that He is on, who are you worshipping? Now we're going to the Acts of Disciples. And here in the book of Acts that we have read, we should know that we have a double event today. The birth of Father Dangenda and the creation of the group of protocol of ashes. And that is the two events that are combined. And the church had given it to the ashes of the church. And we mean that they have to choose 7 people.
Kwa bazali na bakitero kupesa point mpaka msala wana.
So we need to choose 7 people with good reputation in order for them to get the work done.
Batu wana bazali basika ibali tumisa kwa iko sana kwa batu wana.
And they asked for 3 things out of 3 characteristics that those 7 people should have.
Kidele bozo kuzala hukumu ya malamu tu bizali ya malamu.
The first criteria is a good reputation.
Ni bali utodi sama na mwalimu mosana.
The second one, they should be full of the Holy Spirit.
Yangi sato kuzala moto ya mayele tu moto ya bwanya.
And the third one, which is to be a person of wisdom.
Ndiye batu bakora maki basika kiti wana kwa ya malamu ndio basika hukumu usala msala wana.
And those are the 3 characteristics that they needed to find that each person had to have in order for them to do the work of God.
Yesi malamu beza kimya ikundaki.
And afterwards, then when peace had entered,
Makamele sana kile ndege siku ya malamu.
and then the things were done correctly afterwards.
Tawa ni ndege magi c'est table. Tawa ni ndege magi c'est table.
And during that time, it was called multitude.
Mais iko kwa service ya protocol.
And then afterwards, it was now changed into the service of the ushers.
Le lenge ni kwa service ya protocol.
And what is the purpose of the ushers?
Yemwana kete papa ngenda azali akoba kipenda kusabibu 50 ans.
And how did the ushers come to be? It was during the time when Father Ngenda was about to turn 50.
Tuini kwa fita ni gobeza.
And you know how the church events are.
Alipata ngete na saa mkozi munene ya ngomba batu bakoya papa ya ngomba bakozi leta batandika ndio wao kwa na fix. Baidika ni sena ngai.
Father Ngenda had said that now that he's a well-known individual within the country, and because of the fact that it's his birthday, government officials, church officials will be coming from all over to come celebrate with him. It will be essential for him to create an organization that will help him organize everything and make sure that everything is in order and everything goes smoothly. And that is how he received that. He had called the church leaders that were around. He said he had told them that I am giving you the responsibility of choosing people to create a service. I wanted to choose good people in order for them to do the job. And it was a Friday, which is the 20th of March 1968. Then they took as many people they chose them. And once they had chosen the people, they had given them the responsibilities and they had gone to work. Some people were assigned to be the ones who welcome guests, some people were assigned to cooking, some people were assigned to helping people find the seats. And since it was done on a Friday, it was now the time for the event which happened to fall on a Sunday. And you'll see it happened on the 22nd of March 1968 in Predication. And that is where the first ushers and how they were. And you'll see that up until today, where you see the ushers come in and prepare the chairs or the plates. They prepare the chairs. They're welcoming the believers or the guests when they come in. Up until when it is time for them to be served food. And to guide them as they went back home. Which is why mothers and fathers. Which is why the service of ashes is very important in our church. And if we look from 1968 up until today in 2026, and look at how the service is finally implemented within the church, and wherever our parishes are, and even if it's only 20 people in that parish, there's at least one usher there. Because it is come in and seat themselves or serve themselves or do whatever.
Et là, côté, manigaye, vous avez le côté, il y a un wapi, sans organisation.
And it's not good for believers to come in and start looking around and finding a place to sit.
Tout le monde est fouillé à vous, dès que vous tirez.
And we've seen how the fruit has been blossomed or been grown today.
D'abord, c'est ça le protocole pour le protocole qui est maintenant défini.
And that is just a brief history of how the service of ashes had begun.
Bible, il est sur référence de la mort qui est maintenant.
The Bible has given us a experience of how it was done.
Puis, création de la mort qui est tout le monde, il y a un monde qui est dans la bomba.
And we see how the creation of the service of ashes by Father Daniel that
Il existe au hasard des bouts de bomba. Et donc, c'est la carte de bomba, et la préparation pour la mission.
it wasn't an impulsive decision to create the ashes, but it was something that was thought out and very reasonable and necessary to be added to the church.
Quand on se pose la question du protocole,
And every single time we ask something from the ashes,
on doit faire le protocole.
and everyone has done the work of being an usher.
Il y a un moment dans la qui vient.
Yeah, in order for them to be an usher, you need to be someone that is peaceful.
Mon doigt de la patience, mon terme de
You need to have a big heart, meaning you have to have patience,
kutosa inashia ni ngomba mabuta.
and to obey the hierarchy of the church,
Kutosa mema dini.
and to obey also the believers,
Kuzana lilo malamu la agari.
and to have a good way of speaking to people.
Muda usika kama mama te.
And you should be someone that should not have a short temper,
Mungu yerukoso te.
someone who is not greedy.
Mapeso ndio polisi wa bandini tu bapaya hiyo ndio ya hiyo.
And as soon as they give you food to serve, to the one that puts peace wherever people are.
Kama mwili mwangu buli ni sana maana kutoka ukende ucheki mama papa mzuri ni zangi protocol akakuta kusema kama.
And you'll see that an usher is someone that is full of order and peace, saying that if something is happening, they're the ones to diffuse the situation.
Malamu.
You will also give our fellow people a good idea.
Jambo kana kama protocol.
Before our father had become an usher,
Na tayari akata Quran.
he was in a choir.
Nibera Quran ngai iza nibada pesa na kuna enterieska.
It's not one of the choirs that we're familiar with.
Bisu ndio bakandenge mo asana poreti.
And if you want to compare it to the choir in our church, they sang very closely to Poriki.
Kana kwenda protocol
And when he became an usher,
ya solo na tangu ndio basegele ngai.
and he had walked the way that they wanted him to,
Ona yeye kitena bale kutuna.
and everything that he did not know he had asked,
Na sengo sana na ngai, mena yeye kiteke mabuta bale kwa na ngai.
he had done his work, but he did not know that the church leaders were following up after him.
Kuvana
After sitting down for a while,
mgo mususu bale ko programme ngai na kumi membre attaché na bureau communal.
and after some time had passed, they had summoned him and made him part of the committee within the internal office,
Donc na kote na kata bureau ya ngomba.
meaning that he had entered the office of the church,
Ikana mzela protocol.
and just through being an usher.
Kuna na hiyo na secretariat ya ngomba.
That's when he had learned the work of being the secretary of the church.
Ndio hiyo na finance ya ngomba.
That's when he had learned the finance of the church.
Na lakini protocol attaché ya pasteur communal.
And he was the usher of the pastor of that church.
Donc na tamu isika nyoso pasteur akili.
So everywhere that pastor had went, he had gone with him as well.
Na sengo kutetea kumona bakotetele mbele ya leta, mbele ya ngomba.
He had also had the opportunity to meet many government officials and church leaders.
Na zaidi accès au kama area yote na Yesu pasteur na divito ukendaye.
And he had access to go to come by any time, meaning that if the pastor decides to go, he can go with him as
Na
well.
kwa sasa ega tena posha ngai na free transport.
He did not have to go on a trip with using his own at his own expense.
Na kwa free na lala free makabutu free.
All his accommodation and his well-being and his food will be free.
Na kaenze mama selo odete lukumba tayari wana témoin pour la zone ba yango.
It's saying that our father has put Mother Odette as witness as to what happened.
Yawo na mama pesa to sala ya Nzambe toli kisha yango te.
Which is why the work that we do for God, we should not neglect it.
Yote kusala musala